It's time for the final piece of the offensive line breakdown. We talked tackles. We talked guards. Today, we talk centers. What should the New York Jets do at center? Is it as simple as we think, or maybe not? It's time to discuss. Boy Green Meets Woody starts now. Zoinks! It is unequivocally the Super Bowl for New York Jet fans. Field Yates, baby. Field gosh darn Yates. Let's bring him on the show. Come on, people. Connor Rogers is joining the show. What's up, Connor? But Trevor gosh darn Sycamore, baby. For me, personally, my favorite New York Jet of all time.
Wow, it's great to be on. What an intro that was right there.
Paul, nobody does an intro like you, man.
Paul, you give the best intro of literally any podcast that I've ever been.
I'm gonna lose my gosh darn bananas. What's poppin', everybody? Welcome to a Tuesday edition of Boy Green Meets Woody, as we've been assessing every position on the New York Jets roster. This is the final, not only offensive line piece, but the final offensive piece, and then we will shift to special teams and defense. That'll be coming up. Again, our full breakdown before we get to free agency, which is next month. Without further ado, we're streaming live on YouTube, Twitter, and, of course, on Instagram, The James Wudi, and The James Wudi joined us right now. Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, it is Boy Green meets Woody. The people meeting Woody. We are meeting our own opinions. This is the last of the offense. And whoo, does that group need a lot of work? Needs a lot of work. We said what we're going to do. Looking ahead, I don't know how much disagreement there will be. I think we all kind of like the defense. There was a little bit of disagreement when we were talking about awards, looking forward. But not even looking forward, looking right here, right now. We got the centers, last piece of the puzzle, and we will definitely be talking about it.
Well, before we get to the centers, as we start off every show, we recap the poll from the end of the last show. And my domination continues. There's just no other way to put it. So far, we've done 6 positional groups. I have now won 5 of the 6. I've won offensive tackle, guard, quarterback, wide receiver, and running back. And you won tight end. You know that trash bag commercial? Hefty, wimpy. I think we know where you stand, pal, because the triplets that people preferred were Laken Tomlinson, AVT, and Trey Turner, who is my under-the-radar find, which you got pretty jealous of live, and why wouldn't you? And then Zinter, Hunt, and Schweitzer just didn't tickle the people. So, Woody, how does it feel? This is like the interview after the Super Bowl and you lose. How does it feel to be on the wrong end of the stick again, pal?
Is this your interview, Boy Green? Is this the Super Bowl? This is your Super Bowl? This is yours. You just won the Super Bowl? Is that how you feel?
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly how I feel. Yeah.
Well,
yeah, because for the people, well, again, this is not available in audio only, but I won 62.2% of the votes on this one. You got a measly 37.8%. People were not picking up what you were putting down, it seems.
Well, then I guess that means there are 37% of your followers that actually have working brains. I appreciate the 37%. That is, following, not following the crowd. Let's say that, not following the crowd and being free thinkers, because that is what is going to get us out of the rut. Is free thinking, not chasing. You're not listening to Chris Sims when he says some boy from BYU could potentially be better than Trevor Lawrence. Being a free thinker is what is going to get the Jets to the promised land. So
that's a good
to know that there are some people out there.
By the way, your little comment there, that's actually a good preview. We'll actually be diving into old Zach Wilson. Why not again? Rich Samini, a big column for ESPN today, talking with league executives on the Zach Wilson trade value or not. We'll discuss all that tomorrow morning on Boy Green Daily, 7:30. Nice plug there, Woody. Really appreciate you, pal. So let's get into the center conversation for now, for today's show. And it's this. This is a smaller position. Tackle, we're talking left, right. Guard, we're talking left, right guard. Center, there is one center, and then a backup center, and that's basically it. So this conversation will probably be shorter than some of our other conversations before, and it's simple. The Jets centers that they have on the roster, Tippmann, he's entering year number 2 of his rookie contract. Wes Schweitzer, we mentioned last time, actually has center versatility, although after what I saw in training camp from Schweitzer, I hope he never snaps a football for the rest of his life. Aaron Rodgers had one sail over his head. He was like, what the who now? I saw enough of those play-by-play tweets from our reporters. I never want to see Schweitzer at center ever again, but he is currently the only backup center on the roster right now, unless you count like a Xavier Newman, who's also set to be a free agent. So unless you count that, which we don't, there's no backup center on the team, which will be perhaps the theme of our conversation today. The expiring free agent, as we have it, is Conor McGovern, who returned to the Jets. He returned the week of the draft and signed for $1.9 million, backup money. Prior to that, he had signed a 3-year, $27 million deal to be with the Jets. So started from the top. Now we here at $1.9 million. That was a nice backup option to have. He was a good kind of mentor to good old Joe Tippmann, which was very nice. And I really love seeing both the Conor McGovern side of it during training camp and the Joe Tippmann side of the learning. And I love this comment from McGovern. It was during training camp. He said of Tippmann, he said, if I can help him get to the Hall of Fame one day, I'd love to be there in Canton cheering him on. What a selfless thing to say, because I would imagine when someone gets drafted to replace you, and he knew of it when he signed, they told him straight up that we're drafting a center. Like, you could be pretty frosty about that and go, actually, I'm not cool with it. I don't want to help a guy replace me. But he's taken it in stride, and he's been a pretty good backup. But he is set to hit free agency once again. Whole Conor McGovern, he's been the center for the last 4 years, both whether starting or backup, as in most recently this case after getting hurt. So good old Conor McGovern. So a very quick conversation there on the interior offensive line, Woody.
Yeah, I mean, you said the word backup a little too many times, because Conor, he's a starting caliber center. Big fan of his. When the Jets kind of surprised the world, they definitely surprised me. They were ranked 11th by PFF as an offensive line in 2021. I would say him and George Fant were really the superstars of that mini breakout. Unfortunately, that was not sustained. They went right back down to the gutter. And everybody kind of have their own excuses. Fant was hurt. They brought in Lakin, and we said, having people around him, right, his surrounding cast. But Conor, Conor didn't suffer an injury until last year.
Correct. Yes, he had appeared in, I think it's 48 of 50 games over that first 3 years. So super reliable from an attendance perspective. Yep.
Yeah. So, he's been around. Not too much explanation for his drop off in play. But still a good locker room guy. Like you said, I was actually going to bring up that quote if you didn't bring up the quote about the training camp quote. Those are the types of guys when we're talking about culture, and that's been such a overused word in the Salah era is culture, bringing in and winning guys. That's the type of mindset you want to have in the locker room. So I would openly take Conor any day of the week. I was shocked last year when he was not picked up, that he was able to come back on such a cheap deal. I don't think he played himself into a more lucrative deal this year. But if, we can do something similar, hopefully he has a better year and can earn some money. That was another thing that Salah always said coming in, is that he's trying to help people get paid. How do you get paid? Is by producing.
Yes, and off that comment, Robert Sauer said his job is to make Joe Douglas's job difficult. Now, that looks kind of funny now when you consider how he has made it difficult. But what Robert Saleh meant by that comment is by his coaching staff developing and getting these guys ready to get paid, to your point, makes it difficult for Douglas to retain everybody, because if everyone's playing out of their bananas because of that development, that makes it tough for Douglas to be able to retain some of those. So here are the top free agent center options in 2024. And I threw Conor McGovern on top. There's no particular order here. There's another Conor who played guard for the Dallas Cowboys. He slid over to center for the Miami Dolphins this past year. Jason Kelsey. Is he retiring? Is he not retiring? There's a lot of hubbub about that. Aaron Brewer of the Titans. I've heard that name floated around a lot for the Jets with all the Titan connections in New York. Graham Glasgow. Will Clapp is just a hilarious name, so I had to throw that in there as well. Matt Hennessy, the brother of Thomas Hennessy, the Jets long snapper. He is a free agent to be. He was drafted in the mid-rounds a couple of years ago. Pat Elflein, Tyler Biadasz of the Dallas Cowboys, Billy Price, Andre James. There's a ton of names that are on this list. And Woody, I'm going to actually kind of help this launch into our conversation, to be honest with you. And I've been hearing this a little too much for my liking. I'm going to be honest. And I'm not shaming any of these people I'm about to say, but they're just in the camp I'd rather not go into. Connor Rogers has brought up on Badlands that there is a path. He didn't say this is 100% going to be the path. I want to make that clear. But he brought this up as a possibility that the Jets could either sign a legitimate center in free agency or draft a legitimate center and kick Joe Tippmann to guard. Rich Cimini on his Flight Deck podcast, Aaron Brewer, that name I brought up, he has brought him up specifically on the podcast as a guy he said the Jets could sign, who's this pure center from the Titans, all the Titans connections, kick Tippmann to guard. So that's come up a lot, and to me, a little too much, quite frankly. I know Tippmann slid to guard last year and then eventually came into center, and that's how he ended the year. There's a lot of wonderful names on this list. And maybe if they got Jason Kelsey, maybe that's the one guy I'd be willing to do something crazy for. But to be honest with you, that's unrealistic. So to me, what I'd like the Jets to do, personally, Woody, instead of going on this long diatribe of Tyron Smith pounding the table for whoever, I'm just going to be very blunt. I want Joe Tippmann to be the starting center for the New York Jets and sign a guard. There's some wonderful center names here in front of us, but there's plenty of wonderful guard names. Like we're not reinventing the wheel here. Keep Tippmann. The Jets just said that Elijah Vera-Tucker, they hate how he kept moving around, and maybe that contributed to his injury. So why in God's green earth would you do the same thing over and over again with this insanity of Tippmann potentially guard center? Keep him at center. Go get a guard. Find anyone under a rock and plug him in if that's what you want to do. Or in my case, again, my guard tandem that we talked about a few weeks ago, the award-winning guard tandem that the fans voted for was AVT and Lakin being that combo. So to be honest, I'm fine with that. Keep Tippmann at center. Let's stop the nonsense. I do not want to sign a big-time center. We need a reserve guy. We'll talk about that in a minute. But I don't want to sign some big name at center. I don't want to draft some big name at center. Just find me a guard if that's really what you want to do and keep Tippmann where he belongs. Thoughts, Woody?
I mean, the versatility thing is cool, but obviously if guys are going to keep getting hurt when they're playing musical chairs, then enough is enough. In your model of your offensive line, there's absolutely no room for Joe Tippmann to slide.
Correct. Yes.
In my model, there is, because Elijah Vera-Tucker is Elijah Vera tackle. I would be signing Robert Hunt, which is that. I mean, that's a big name guard, but that left guard would then be opened. I'm not going to bring out the scissors, but that left guard would be opened by either having a rookie or Wes. But I just think it's better to have him play center. I mean, that is the position that he has, played most. That was what he was drafted to be. That was the intention. I do understand that he had some good games at guard, and had some shaky games at center. But I mean, and this is actually beyond personnel. This is the coaching staff. Like, they need to develop. Can they develop like one player? They literally under this era have zero players, but they can say, this was a person that was on the bubble and we turned them into a star. Like, every single person that has succeeded in this era, I know Boy Green, he's going through checking, is there somebody? Everyone was an established player before. Right. And I know, like, if you want to say rookies, I mean,
okay, here's my one name, but it doesn't equal your star back end of what you said. So that part I'm like, but I'll throw one. that jump to mind for, again, because we talk about on defense developing, you can pull names out of your wazoo. Bryce Huff, Michael Carter's the second,
Quincy
draft
Williams.
guys, waiver guys, Quincy, whoever, right?
Yeah,
There's a million names. Braxton Berrios, a fringe guy you brought in, and he was a slot kick returner extraordinaire, and then he dumped. So it was a flash in the pan. It was very quick, but does that even count? Again,
Well,
obviously, I'm stretching for names.
He was a Gase guy, and he was getting touchdowns from Darnold. You know, so
So I guess you don't get the full credit for that. Yeah, I guess that's true.
Yeah. So I would actually make the argument that they've made so many people worse. You know, like no, seriously. Like Laken Tomlinson coming out for Pro Bowl, young Iron Man. Right now, what's happened to his PFF?
Same position, same scheme. It still doesn't make any sense how that wasn't like a seamless fit. Yeah,
because the Jets killed him. CJ Uzama, everybody hates him, right? But he was a good, like the Bengals were mad that he didn't re-sign. Like they wanted him back. He just played in the Super Bowl and they wanted to make another run. They were like, CJ, we need you, man. And he comes to the Jets and the Jets hate him. Alan Lazard was looking like a rock, he was coming back. They've ruined so many people, haven't developed anybody. And then, of course, lightning strikes twice. You got Garrett and Brees that were diamonds, but who knows how good they could be with a competent quarterback, with a competent line. So anyway, that's a long
diatribe.
Yeah, all that. I would keep Tippmann at center and, just develop one guy, man. Please just develop one guy. Let it be Tippmann. And let's protect Aaron Rodgers. I mean, we've seen Connor said that type of stuff. Conor McGovern said Hall of Fame type stuff. Quentin Williams also went out of his way to say that he thinks that Tippmann could be one of the best centers in the entire league. Which you could say, oh, that's just his teammate, but you don't have to say it in hyperbole like that.
Of course,
you could just say,
right?
Oh, he's working hard, but no, to go out of their way to say that. And that's something that obviously Quinnen, he goes against the best centers. So let's keep that road. Let's keep that train moving.
And you hinted at it. Even I would probably stronger than hinted that there were some games, etc., where you're from Timmy, you're like, hey, and guard like, oh. But I would just say this: give me the growing pains of center and keep him there. So, like, for Tippmann, again, okay, if you're going to tell me right away he could be a better immediate contributor as a guard than a center, like, I don't know the percentages. Is he 80% here, 70% there, whatever? I don't know. I can't speak to that. But give me a guy staying at a position and learning and going through. That's developing. That's going through the process. Like, you're complicating the process. You're making it more layered to guard, center. Tippmann at the end of the season was speaking with Ethan Greenberg. This is the end of season. Hey, one last interview before I hit the old road, Jack. And he said, yeah, it was really hard jumping from guard to center and trying to okay, here's my responsibilities. No, wait, here are my responsibilities. Wait, now I'm back. Like, he struggled with that and he was very open about it. So keep him at center, pocket. You can find a guard. Again, if guard was this impossible thing to find and the only option you had was center, and you explain to me, Paul, we put this guy at center, Tippmann at guard, that gives us the best five, because Joe Douglas says that all the time. We're going to play the best five. We're going to play the best five. Like, okay, I want the best five, of course, but there's a way to get the best five that includes Tippmann at center in my mind. I don't think it's some impossible task. So that's what I want. So to go full circle here, normally at the end of the show, we give this strong pitch as to a player they should sign and throw some crazy money at and things of that nature. I'm going to be very simple here. Woody. Conor McGovern is who I want back. And hopefully he did nothing to, it's not like he played on this cheap deal and he was an all-pro and you're like, now stepping stone to much larger contract. I don't think he showed anything this year, with all due respect, that is going to lead him to get the 3-year, $27 million deal he got in the past or higher. I don't think so. I think this is what he is in his career, and the path is simple. Stay with the Jets, be a competitor/reserve guy, mentor, or retire, or go somewhere else and maybe serve in that same role. But you'll be competing, I guess, have a little bit more clearance for a competition than here, where Tippmann, I would imagine, pretty strongly is the center. And all the coaches are all the same, so it's not like a new regime where maybe there's some shakeup there. So he's the guy. So I don't want some crazy thing here. What I want is very simple. I just want Conor McGovern back and keep that really cool relationship he has. He's an experienced starter. He's been around for a very long time. I think that will help Tippmann. And that was another cool thing. Quick anecdote. Tippmann said, even when McGovern was out, he was placed on IR. He said every week I came over to his house, Tippmann to McGovern's house, and we went over tape. And McGovern went through all the intricacies of things that I messed up and had to do better or things I did well. And he said it was so cool to get that additional film breakdown. That's outside of what they do on a day-to-day basis at work, inside the facilities. And the more stories I hear like that, I'm like, holy friggin' crap, that's so cool. He's like a quasi coach. And of course, if he ever has to come in a pinch, the 48 appearances in 50 games his first 3 years gives me confidence that if he has to step up to the plate, that he can. So my pitch is simple. Bring back Conor McGovern on a very similar financial deal. He seems to really enjoy it. Tippmann seems to enjoy it outside of something that we don't understand. And let's bring Conor McGovern right back home where he belongs.
I won't add too many words to that. I mean, Conor, in my opinion, is the best choice. I am 99.9% sure. I want to say 100, but only because you wrote his name, I am now that 0.1% sure that Jason Kelce retired.
So it's just to provide clarity, a report came out. I mentioned it, I think, a little bit off the top, that Jason Kelce was going to retire. And then he came out and said, hey, that decision isn't official. But it's funny that even if it was or wasn't, so he's come out and he says, I'm still he says, I don't like to make emotional decisions. And how it was reported from the media is that, like, in the locker room, he told the whole team, I'm retiring. And he said he wouldn't want to do that because, like, the emotions, like, it's not fair one way or the other to say I'm all in or all out because, like, a game just happened. But even if he did, it's funny to me that I would put it in there because Joe Douglas's first move in 2019, when he came in as the GM late in the process, he was hired in June, was convincing Ryan Khalil off the couch out of retirement to come in with the Jets. Now, that was an epic failure, an absolute epic disaster. And by the way, I met the Khalil family for one of the games that season. My dad got, Jet fans will know whatever this is, but there's some 50-yard club or something. I don't know. Somehow my dad swahoodled tickets to that thing, and there's food, drink, and the players' families are there and stuff. And I ran into the Khalil family, his wife and kids, and they're all very nice. So I did not tell them to their face that their dad sucks at football and absolutely ruined it for the Jets. But I should have, if I was being honest with it. But yes, that was terrible. But I love the creativity from Joe Douglas, that in his first year, he didn't have a lot of control, right? The draft free agency had already happened by the time he came in. He's like, what can I do to add someone in? Convince someone off the couch. And again, it went horribly, but A+ for creativity, sir. So, hey, if he wants to work that magic 5 years later, Jason Kelce, a few rungs better than Ryan Khalil. So even if the retired stuff, like I said, it's still up in the air, apparently, according to Kelce. But even if it wasn't, that part, I will forever leave him on the list. You got to leave the light on, Wudi.
Well, he definitely, A+ creativity, picking out Roger Saffold off the couch, saved the Jets season this year. Woo! Maybe Joe Douglas should actually start looking at people that play football instead of people that used to play football, and the line would look better. But yeah, Conor is a good option. Like, for all the things we said, off the field and on the field. I mean, how many guys on that list will provide the same value in both of those areas? So, Team Conor, and yeah, we know that he can start. It's not a
of course.
No disrespect to Wes Schweitzer, but it's not one of those situations where it's like, now he's in. All right, let's hope he has a good game. It's like, oh, okay, Conor's in, we're good to go.
Yeah, Conor has proven when good players are around him. Again, this was a comment Damian Wudi made a couple of years ago on Conor McGovern. So I'm going to mess up the years, but he was here for 3 years. I think his first year was okay. If I remember, his second year was kind of spotty, and then he was better in his third year, if I remember all that right. Because whatever happened was Damian was asked about Conor McGovern regressing. And so, like I said, it would have had to have been his second year. But Damian explained on a podcast that, your play is so tied to who's around you. And if you're a really good center and you have crappy guard play around you, as a center, like even or whatever the position is, even subconsciously, you have to say, okay, I know Johnny can't do his part in the project. So instead of doing my 100%, I got to do 105 to make up for his left guard difference or right guard difference. And Damian talked about it as his former offensive lineman, which was super cool because I'd never been an offensive lineman. He talked about those subtleties of things you have to worry about. But when you have a trust with your teammates, you don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. And you could just, I'm doing my job and I know everyone else is going to do their job. So he said when the level of play increases around you, that increases your own abilities and everything else. So, high tide rises all boats basically is the shtick that Green Wudi explained a couple of years ago. So I think the same thing, that if McGovern was ever forced to go in for injury, if God intends or whatever happens, I'd feel pretty confident that he can at least hold the fort down while the Jets figure out whatever the hell is going to go on. So that's what I advocate for. So this is a weird situation, Woody. We're on the same boat. Well, that seems like an odd poll. Who's right, Paul or Paul? Which, again, has been basically the poll ever since we started this thing. But in all seriousness, Woody, I think what this means is I think we should ask the pressier question, which is whether or not Joe Tippmann should stay at center or guard this offseason. It's a topic that's floating around in the Twitter black market streets. It's like you get that one guy on the curb with a trench coat going, hey, you want a little Joe Tippmann at center? A little Joe Tippmann at guard. So there's a little bit of that action happening. People are like, guard. And then they're like, hey, this guy said guard. Oh, jeez. Or, yeah, I'll take him at center. Oh, look at this guy. What a loser. So, people are kind of quietly kind of looking at it, but we don't really know what the Jets are going to decide to do because it's not as public as the ABT thing. Oh, we'll play this or this. We don't really know at this point. So we'll put it up to the people. If you're watching live, you guys shortly after can go on my Twitter account @BoyGreen25 and vote in this. Should the Jets keep Tippmann at center, or are you open to the possibility? That's how I believe I'm going to set up the poll, to potentially moving him to guard if the right center combination or something becomes available. Or again, 100% should he be the center? You guys can vote in that poll, and we are live every Tuesday and Thursday. I saw someone else said, whoa, Boy Green's doing live shows in the afternoon. Well, welcome to the friggin' party, pal. We have for like a month or 2 months or something. So 3 o'clock every Tuesday and Thursday. It's myself. It's James Wudi. They're on the screen. And we break down the Jets roster. And then that'll be kind of the shtick of the show through free agency. And then there's all kinds of things, kind of dandies we will get into. So guys, make sure you vote. Make sure you show your love. So Woody, this was just a very civil episode. A very hello, sir. Good morrow to you, sir. How are you? No yelling, no DX. I got 2 words for you. Suck it, pal, and crotch chaps. None of that action happening. I feel very civil. Like I want to invite you over some wine tasting later.
Well, we'll see how things go with this vote, because I do believe that the people will vote for guard, which will
really
prove my hypothesis all along that these people don't know a thing, and that you are the king of the nincompoops.
Okay. How about we do this? Because we don't really have a competition in this poll, we'll create a competition out of nothing. You believe the majority of the fans will vote guard, correct?
That is what I indeed said seconds ago.
Okay, then I will reaffirm and I will say they vote center. And wherever they land, we'll count that for our record that we've been keeping, and we'll put that either. So again, we'll put the poll.
I don't need one for the record. I don't need you. You can take.
Well, I mean, it would double your wins. I mean, it's. Yeah,
you can tack that on if you want, but this isn't about the record. This is Boy Green, king of the nincompoops. Start printing the t-shirts. I'm gonna print them because that's what it is. All right, we got the Abani Kanda Wakanda's out here. All right,
oh, God. Still people are coming at me with tweets on that. That's just unbelievable. But
yeah, well, that's the type of pool that you're swimming in. So get the chlorine out, guys. Let's do this poll. And it will just prove what I've been saying all along.
Well, we will have a shorter episode on Thursday. I can almost guarantee it. We're at 29 minutes right now, but Thursday's show, the special teamers, a perfect place to fit it in before we shift over to defense. But I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think the title is predicting this series has kind of been predicting which veteran insert will sign with the Jets. Basically, our compelling pitch on why the Jets should bring everybody back, basically.
Yeah, well, I mean, it'll be a lot like this one because I love Greg Zuerlein. I love the entire
Morstead,
staff. I love Brand Boyer.
Hardy.
I love who? Oh yeah, Justin Hart. Yeah, exactly. I want
Yeah, no, just the whole group. Yeah.
every single person back. So, yeah, just Hart. Yeah, Morstead, everybody. So, join us for a nice 15-minute Tea and Crumpets. Boy Green meets the man, James Wudi. You already know.
All right.
Coming
We'll
soon.
see you guys on Thursday at 3:00. Should be a dandy. Should be a doozy. We'll see you
Yes.
then. God bless. Take care.
Cheerio.